All right. Good morning to Sal. Good early morning to you all. Again, I want to appreciate everyone for being flexible and waking up so early. I hope you got to enjoy your breakfast with the amount of time we gave you. But today is the final day of our TCYA retreat. It is now the moment you've all been waiting for, the Service Hackathon presentations. So, throughout this retreat, during our work sessions, I asked all of you guys, do you guys have any questions? Surprisingly enough, not one person asked about the hackathon presentation order. Were you guys all feeling prepared and ready to go, whatever we throw at you? Okay, based on the reactions on your faces, you guys are like, and that's okay. Actually, I did get one group that did come up to me. They're like, hey, Jason, we have a team member who, needs to leave early this morning. Is it possible that we can go first for the hackathon presentation order? So, thanks to that team, guess what? Your team won't be going first because that team will be going first. And also, I feel like that's a really good example, another good example of the way that you guys come together as a team. You only got to know each other throughout these past few days of the retreat, but already you're looking out for each other, supporting one another. And I think that is, what we wanted this experience to be for you all. So as you can see on our screen, the team presentation order will begin with Team 2. Thank you, Team 2, for being our brave volunteers to go first. And then following Team 2, we'll go down in order from Team 1 down to Team 10. Now, throughout this retreat, you guys faced a lot of challenges. You guys had to complete tasks that usually would take a long time within a small window of time, such as making a social media challenge or an entire talent show performance. You guys overcame challenges when it comes to teamwork. You had to get out of your comfort zone to be willing to work with one another to beat those challenge courses. And I got to see a lot of teams, finding out creative ways to beat that spiderweb game and, knowing that we can trust one another to beat those challenges. So with this hackathon, this will be your final challenge of the day, which is giving your presentation to a panel of judges. But before that, I want to give you guys two things. The first one being this jinx it aphorism. Do not underestimate ourselves, because everyone has boundless potentials. And with all the challenges that you guys overcame, I saw and I watched, and I saw that everyone, had so much potential, and they really brought it out to overcome those challenges. My second gift to you all is an extra 10 minutes for final rehearsal. It's super early in the morning. I know people whose brains are still waking up, so I'm gonna give you guys this last 10 minutes to go over your presentation slides one more time and be ready to go. You guys know your presentation order. 10 minutes, I'm gonna start the timer. Get cracking. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Every song there's a theme that we sing. With each new moment comes a new melody. I can choose to let the sunshine brilliantly, or to let the cold rain pour down heavily. With every song we'll have highs and have lows. With open hearts every challenge will help us to grow. My heart creates the music I'll call my own. While we are young, let's choose the words for our song. I choose to walk through the crowd. I know that love's right here and right now. So let us open up our hearts to those in need. That is what makes a touching, warm melody. I choose to share all my love. I give my all right here and right now. Reach out and give a helping hand to those in need. With a smile we can bring this world harmony. Slowly, surely, we give our life beauty.
For groups who wants to make sure that we receive the right file, please come over here to the right side of the stage. Just have one representative, okay? If you want to make sure that we did put up the right slide. I mean, we received the correct link. So if you want to double check, feel free, come over here with me.
A touching, warm melody. I choose to share all my love. I give my all right here and right now. Reach out and give a helping hand to those in need. So start with me, mindful where to walk without feet. Slowly, surely, we give our life beauty. I choose to share all my love. I give my all right here and right now. Reach out and give a helping hand to those in need. Inspire good in every person that you meet. Slowly, surely, we give our life beauty. La 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 la. I choose to have a meaningful life, a life powered by love.
Memories and kindness slowly fading, fighting with the shadows lost in your mind. Feeling so small. How do we go back to our intentions? Is there still a chance? Is it still worth trying to start over? In the night, I can almost hear the coming dawn. Shine your light, make a wish of open blue skies. See the future start to take flight, reaching new heights. Be the light, no more fear and hesitation. Let our voices be a prayer. May there be hope in our time. We're caught in the present with a clear mind. Be true to your heart, come what may tomorrow. Seize the moment. Tear down the walls that divide us. We'll become the centuries of the future. From now on, we're waiting for just one moment to ignite. Shine your light, cherish every step we're taking for a love that's never ending, burning so bright. Be the light, one day we'll see open blue skies, planting seeds of hope and rewrite the story of our time. cherish every step we're taking for a love
3-minute warning. We have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left.
burning so bright, be the light. One day we'll see open blue skies, planting seeds of hope and rewrite the story of our time. We are the light, with conviction to exist and to shine.
Lead with courage. Lead with courage. Lead with courage. Let's try it one more time. Lead with courage. All right, thank you so much, attendees. Let's make our way back to our seats. This concludes our final rehearsal time. And I hope you guys got to make the most out of those 10 minutes to get ready. We are now going to move on to our next phase of the hackathon presentation, starting with meeting our judge panel. Can we give it up for our judges?
Hi everyone, it's us again. I hope you remember who we are. Jason asked us to do quick introductions, so we'll run it back just in case you forgot who we are. I'm Steve.
I'm Tiffany.
And we represent Siji's Global Partnerships and Youth Development Department. We principally engage with the UN, partnerships, youth engagement. So we're so happy to be able to be your judges today and to kind of hear your presentations and give you all feedback in terms of what's cool, what can use work, and all of the great things that come with that.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. All right, so I think that's us, and we'll go ahead and take a seat, chill, vibe. I'll keep the mic, and we go.
All right, thank you so much, judges. Let's go ahead and go over how our presentations are going to work. So as a reminder for your presentations, you will have 3 minutes to present your actual presentation. As you guys are on stage presenting, we'll have someone in the back helping you keep time. You should see a blue sign that says 1 minute. That means you have 1 minute remaining, or 0 minutes, meaning you guys have to wrap it up and go to your Q&A section. The Q&A section will last about 2 minutes. Questions can be asked by anyone participating. It can be an attendee, it could be an advisor, it could be one of our judges. So be ready to answer any questions within those 2 minutes. Same thing for that, we'll also have someone keeping track of time. Once you see the 0 on time, then you guys will wrap up your Q&A, and the judges will share out their comments and feedback. As you can see with Team 2 lining up, when it is your turn to go on stage, please make sure to line up by our curry table so that you guys will be receiving a mic and just one clicker for helping you navigate through your slides. At the end of the presentation, our judge panel will submit their decisions for the awards, which are going to be a surprise for you during our closing ceremony. Now, without further ado, we're going to let the presentations begin. Please welcome Team 2.
Hi everybody, we are Group 2 and this is our pitch project, Hand-Me-Downs for Hope. We will be collaborating with TCYA and nearby schools and organizations.
Okay, so a quick overview for what our project is. We will essentially be gathering secondhand clothing and household items in order to redistribute to underprivileged families and communities. And in addition to that, we will also be hosting educational workshops so that we can inform others about sustainable living practices and environmental protection.
Now, what is our goals and scope of this project? Our goal is to help provide families in need with essential school supplies or household items that they may need in the upcoming future. And to make this event as accessible as possible to everyone, we'll be hosting it in 2 sections. One section is going to be for the household items and the other is for the school supplies. And the main message that we're trying to provide is to reduce, reuse, and recycle.
So just to brief you guys on a little timeline for how our event is going to be planned. First, we're going to set out donation boxes to allow the local communities to kind of bring their donations and deposit them. And then once we kind of pile them up and gather them with the help of volunteers, we're going to kind of sort through them, wash them, make sure that they're ready to be redistributed. And then we're going to advertise to our local communities to come attend our event. And then we're also going to send out a form to kind of gauge what high demand items they might need. And anything that does stand out to us, we will supply to them with our supplemental funds so that we make sure that they're getting what they need. And then after we contact our volunteers and teachers, we are going to be ready to set our event up.
So why is our project important? Well, it supports the Sustainable Development Goal of sustainable production and consumption by reducing the amount of waste that comes from clothes. And those clothes that would go to waste would be reused and re-given through the process of collecting, refurbishing, and then distributing. And those clothes are given to people with financial needs that come with a new school year.
Okay, so a quick insight into the various materials and resources we will be providing. So we want to provide eco-friendly TCYA clothing, as well as reusable like bags made from recycled materials, household items and bedding, as well as school supplies.
So our overall cost will be spent on facilities, delivery fees, storage, and volunteers, which will help us organize and distribute the event. The materials that we hand out will be donations, and all of that puts us at a total estimated cost of around $3,000.
So the estimated amount of people that is coming. The estimated people that is coming to this event is 1,500 people. There will be 6 hours each day for 2 days, and there will be 120 people in one session. And one session is 1 hour, so it wouldn't be so crowded. There will be 120 people in one session, and there will be a 10-item limit for each person, so that, it will be fair for other people. We will also include a TCYA booth to let people know about us, like this organization more.
Thank you all for listening. And if any of you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please bring them up.
Any questions from the audience? It's a speak up or I'm going to take up all the time kind of moment. No? Okay, cool. So I love the presentation. Congratulations on the work. Thank you so much for putting all this together. I have a curiosity in terms of particularly the participant slide. If you can go back maybe 2 slides for me. Curious in terms of the timing, how many volunteers would be needed to kind of manage a scope of 120 people per session, and then also maybe thinking about like how we space out between each hour. Like, is there time between each hour so we can like either refill the clothing in the warehouse? It feels very like thrift store to me, right? Which I love. And then but if 120 people come in and they pick up like 10 items from both the clothing, the materials, and the supplies, like, is there a sense of like that sort of like refill time? I also love this framework around like wanting to reach underprivileged families, and I was curious if you were thinking about like how we could better reach those families and communities. I know you said advertisement, like is there any thinking around that space?
So there will be around 30 to 20 people for like each 3 hours because there's 6 hours, right? So of course we need some people in the front desk to do all the registration thing, and there will also be like 2 people to 3 people in each booth, and there will also be like some people at the TCYA booths to like introduce us, right, to like other people so they can know about us, and then they will switch role when like the time reached, so they wouldn't be so tired.
As for the question regarding how are we going to reach out to everyone, we hope to partner with local authorities or government officials to like help make sure that everyone who is in need knows about this, so they can come over and get the supplies that they need.
Cool, awesome. I really like the idea of getting volunteers to actually do different roles and switching around so it's not so boring for the 6 hours, you know. Like a lot of activities, we might be just giving the same thing over and over again for 6 hours. So the rotation is really nice, and definitely big kudos for going first. So good on everyone for that. I was just wondering about the cost, like the logistics and the cost. Like, so how did you come up with these like costs? Is it something that you based off like in your previous, you know, experiences, or you did online searching, or how did you come up with the costs?
So for the storage, we actually went online and searched up container units, do you know the back of semi-trucks where they have this huge storage space? We basically bought one of these that's pre-owned and metal, so the materials won't be affected by the environment. And it's about $55, which we searched online. And as for the facilities, we will be renting out either small office complexes, going to community buildings, or schools of that sort. And as for delivery fees, we went online and searched up the cost, which was around $300 for 2 hours of moving time.
And also for the facilities, it would be better if we could like talk to like the owner of the facility themselves, and like maybe we can talk to them, and maybe we could get it for like free because it's for the community. So it will like save some money for us.
Thank you so much. This has been so lovely. I'm so happy you guys are working through like a partnership framework, and I saw also the different stations that would be available during the event so that other organizations can come in and kind of support the work as well. And so congratulations for the presentation and for the design. I really look forward to this.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Team 2, for being our very first presentation of the day. We're now going to go ahead and move straight into Team 1. Please welcome Team 1 up to the stage.
Good morning, everybody. We are
Nutrition for All. We deliver food via bikes to people who may not have the time or ability to attend food distributions.
This solves the SDG goals: no hunger, responsible consumption, and climate action. We aim to tackle food insecurity in underprivileged communities by providing free, accessible produce. By biking, we eliminate the need for recipients to come to Tzu Chi food distribution centers, removing their transportation pollution. Additionally, our use of eco-friendly bags also reduces our environmental footprint. We will also have a food order form that we will give out to recipients when they come to Tzu Chi food distribution events in order to minimize food waste, since many recipients may not want specific food items.
Our event will begin in the San Bernardino community, and we will start by donating to 15 homes, and eventually we hope to scale that up to 75 to 100 homes. Our current scope includes current food distribution recipients, especially those who may not have the means to attend our food distribution events.
So in the future, we plan to acquire electric cars to make our delivery system more efficient. Additionally, we aim to expand our reach and broaden the impact that we have on the communities that we serve. Lastly, we intend to transition to electric bikes and scooters. This reduces the effort required by our volunteers to reach their destinations.
This event would take place 4 days every month. It would happen every other week on Saturday and Sunday. The volunteers would first pack the food in reusable bags and then transport them to people's homes on bikes.
People of the community get to fill out a form to tell us exactly what type of food they want from the selection of free food that we offer. Then we will bike to their location with environmentally friendly transportation.
So, excuse me. So for our delivery process, we have delegated 4 main tasks for volunteers to complete. The first job is the transporter, and transporters will use bikes in order to drop off and deliver the food. The second job is the order tracker. So order trackers will basically keep track of the food order forms that are sent in beforehand. The third job is the coordinator. And coordinators, they will sort out where the location is, food supplies, and who is volunteering for that day. The last job are food packers, and they will pack the food into recyclable bags so that they can be delivered.
Plan to buy 10 wagons, each costing $30, and utilize wagons that Tzu Chi already has. We will also require most volunteers to bring their own bikes, while providing 10 bikes at $75 each in case they don't have it. Tzu Chi will supply recycled or biodegradable food bags. For food ingredients, we will partner with food pantries. Additionally, we will need a bike pump costing $10 and 10 helmets at $16 each for the extra bikes. The total one-time cost is $1,220. We believe this investment will yield a significant impact in community impact, significant return in community impact. Thank you.
Any questions from the floor? Yeah, we love that. All right, I'll run the mic.
I have a question about the safety of while riding on the bikes on the road, because I'm personally a cyclist and riding a bike is already like a bit there's a risk, and carrying all the food on the back of the bike is a form of like risk too.
Thank you. We had a second question. I believe I had a second hand raised. Yes.
I heard that you talked about order forms for people who wanted to specify their preference on food. And I was wondering how you plan to get those order forms out to people, especially people who don't have access to the internet.
Awesome questions. Any more questions before one more over here, and then we'll pass it back to you guys.
So for the order forms, would they be limited to just like the people around wherever this is happening, or is there like a limit of who can actually sign up, because you're not going to be biking like 2 hours away?
Awesome, great. Did you guys catch all three questions? Do you need me to run it back? Yes? Awesome, go, all you.
Okay, so safety and risk, that is definitely a valid concern. And so we will be providing resources for the bikers to stay safe, such as helmets. You know, we will be providing that. And we will also be doing a buddy system when delivering the goods, so that the Chushao, in case like anything happens, there is like a buddy and someone that can call for help.
For the form questions, first off, because we're starting in a small community, we already have a food distribution in San Bernardino. So for that catalog, we already have some of the locations of like the recipients. So next time we can start transitioning, maybe collecting their addresses or like their contact information, so we can start emailing them a Google form. And for the people who don't have internet access or maybe haven't shown up yet, we can also pass out like flyers or like a paper form for them to fill out and email to us, or not email, to send to us through like the postal service or something like that. What was the other question actually regarding the form? Did I address both questions?
Yeah, so the third question I believe was about access and how we get more people involved, yes? And I believe all three have been answered, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Oh, sorry. So on my side, I'll have Tiffany give some feedback first.
Okay, great. It's really nice to see the individualization of the forms, because a lot of times when we do food parcels, we gotta give them like the standard package, right? So people with special needs or is like being catered here in the project. I do have a question about like the kind of the weight of the produce, right? So how long are we providing this for? Is it once a month, once a week? And then cycling with the weight, especially I know that most, generally for a month worth of produce is around 25 kgs. So cycling with 25 kgs may be a problem. So just wondering if you guys have a solution for that.
So for the time, we will be, okay, so right now our food distributions are once every month. But if we're transitioning to bikes, we understand that there will be a lot more manpower involved. That's why we're going to do it like 4 times every month. So our reach can still be the same, it's just going to take a little longer. But even though it's a little bit longer, it is a lot more clean, and we are reducing food waste and addressing other SDGs.
Great. And the last one is like, because I know now we're on bikes, is there any thoughts about how we want to engage with the families a bit more? Because we're delivering, right? So we have that personal touch with them. So any thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Like when you roll up, right, you're not just giving them the food. Like, is there any thought behind like how you want to engage with the families when you show up on bikes?
I think that it will be pretty similar to the current food distribution. Like, we will be there, we will have the Tsuchi compassion, and we will demonstrate that when we are giving them the food. But I don't think it would be like an hour-long sit-down conversation kind of thing, but just like greetings and wishing them well.
For sure, thanks so much. So on my side, I'm so excited about this. I love biking. Biking is so fun. I just have a question about bike lanes in San Bernardino area. Are there already existing bike lane infrastructure? Would you be biking on roads? Do you have a sense of like what that looks like? Because I know from our Sugo community, like safety of bike lanes is definitely a thing.
I'm not sure if there's bike lines, but there are sidewalks and the road is like pretty flat. So I think it's going to be okay if we just ride bikes because like safety issue, we already have helmets and things like that.
Okay, great. No, so I know we're short on time. Love this project so much. Definitely things about buddy system. Happy to hear that. Showing up in groups is important, especially when you're interacting with strangers. Love the biking aspect of it and thinking about how we build trust between our volunteers that are running these programs and our youth that want to come in with this sort of innovative activity is great. Have a strong onboarding process for all of your bikers and make sure that it's not just the CISAL biking. Have adults accompany you with that process as well. Think also about like what it means to kind of utilize this activity to draw in new volunteers. I think this could be something really exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Team 1. Again, thank you to our judge panel for their wonderful feedback. I am very happy to see that our attendees are also engaging, asking questions. I love that. I do ask that if you are asking questions, please stand up so that everyone knows who is speaking. That also gives you an opportunity to stretch your legs during this time. And I also like that, when you're asking questions, you're thinking about your perspective if you were a volunteer in this event. So keep that up, and let's please welcome Team 3.
Hi, we're Group 3, and our hackathon proposal is Pages for Progress. We want to encourage, foster, and educate. I'm Jocelyn.
I'm Madeline.
I'm Anderson.
I'm Alicia.
And I'm Kenneth. So the SDG goal that we'll be focusing on is quality education, which aims to promote inclusive and quality education for all. The main idea of our project will be based on book repurposing and encouraging the community, specifically the younger generation, to read more physical books and engage with their community. This will be done through a 4-part process: collection, redistribution, connection, and impact. Collection. So first, we'll be holding a book drive around the community where we'll be sending out notes to door by door and receiving donations of any used books from those families. Then these books will be sorted and be set up into a book distribution or book sale, which accepts recommended donations, but are not required. Through the connection, we will set up a reading club for kids at the park, which encourages more physical reading of books, especially physical books and not just Kindles. And this will be a community event which supports the community. And lastly, impact. Any money that we collect through this process will be donated to schools, especially in those rural communities, to help foster education. The rest of the books that were donated but not sold or given out will be donated to libraries and schools nearby.
So our event goals are going to be to encourage healthy reading habits, increase accessibility to books, foster engagement, and repurpose books.
Aiming to address the issue of stagnating literacy rates across the United States, Pages for Progress is focusing on encouraging young people to read again, whilst creating communal connection.
We have a couple alarming statistics about literacy and reading in the US. So first, there are 14% of the adult population who cannot read above a 3rd grade level. And second, 1 in half of all 4th graders are not on track at their current reading level. Second, according to an NEA survey, in 2022, there were less people reading who said they read a single book in the entire year than there were in 2017. And finally, there are a lot of alarming statistics about minorities in their reading proficiencies.
So first, our plan is for volunteers to drop off advertisements at 500 houses in 2 to 3 neighborhoods, informing them about our book drive. Then, after a specified time, a week later, we'll go back and collect the redistributed books. We're looking for an output about 200 to 250 books that are donated, with 50 and 60% of them being children's books. Then we'll go to a TCYA facility and store all the received books.
So our book drive event will be held at a park, and at the park we're going to also have a reading club or a reading service, and this book club event or book drive event will happen annually, and it'll happen from the morning to the afternoon. And we expect at least 150 attendees and for at least 70% of the books to be used or sold. And for the book club, this will be reoccurring every month, and we will have 8 sessions in a day, with each session being 30 minutes, and kids will be able to come to the parks and volunteers will be able to read to the kids, and we expect at least 30 children attendees.
Our overall cost will be $85 on account of the customized door hangers. As for the venue, we're hoping that TCYA will give us the tables and chairs needed. Volunteers are highly encouraged to use their own personal bikes as to reduce gas emissions when they're distributing the books.
We plan to start out in Nassau County of Long Island in New York State. We chose this location because of its rural community and its close-knit community. And this county is made out of 64 villages and 60 hamlets. So for our delegation, we have the event coordinators who are planning and executing the events. We have the volunteer team who will be reading the children, biking with notes to the homes, and storing the books. And we also have the team lead who will be acting as a spokesperson for the volunteer team. And we have the outreach team comprised of the communications and marketing team. And we have the finance team who will be maintaining the internal and external funds as well as the budget and event expenses.
And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions? Anyone like to ask any questions? Yes, yay.
So regarding your sale of books, how much money, you guys said you'll raise $50, right? So how much impact would this have on rural communities and rural schools?
Any other questions before we go to the panel? I'll add on one question. I love the book drive model, and I noted that you wanted to donate some extra books to the libraries. Would there be an opportunity maybe before you begin the book pickup request to work with libraries to see maybe what subject matters and content they're looking for?
Okay, so I can answer the first question. So our main purpose is to redistribute the books, and any fees that we can get, which are the recommended donations, it's $1 per book. Any fees that we can get will be donated to schools, and that will do whatever the school needs the funds for. They can give it to clubs or to classrooms for decoration. But our main goal is to get those books out to children who may not have a wide access to different types or genres of books.
And then second question about partnering with libraries in the lead up to the event itself.
Sorry, we didn't really think this through before because we have no direct control over what content we receive. But if we were to do this, then we would keep note of what books we get, and through the book sorting process, we would be able to connect with those libraries' goals and visions and see what we can use. But also, since our primary focus is not the donations to the libraries, but donations to the community first, we'll focus on that first, and any remaining we will connect with libraries to see.
No, this is really lovely, and thank you for putting this together. I think this is a great way for Tzu Chi to reach back out into the community and get others to not only understand this dire gap that exists in the community, but how we're playing this crucial role of connecting. I love the book drive. I think shifting to a pay for what you want model instead of it being $1 opens up space for generosity, while also giving space for accessibility, right? So families who come in who can't afford to pay $1 a book, they can walk away with 15 books and just have them for free, right? At the same time, I'm really enjoying this like community reading service. I think it's a great way to draw in new volunteers that want to engage with the youth, and definitely I think something to consider as you continue to build this out is like, what does adult supervision look like? What do like the liabilities of us engaging with this large population look like? We have a whole legal team, so like it's totally fine, right? But having those considerations, and then also I think thinking about particularly how we ensure that everyone who's coming to this book drive feels tied into the community, right? We don't want this to be a one-off experience where they come, get the books, and then they leave, right? What's the follow-up? What's the next step that ensures that as they get our books, they find that they can come back to Tzu Chi, whether it's another reading event or it's another way for them to engage? I think that'll kind of tie into having them in the broader community, and then finally thinking about how we ensure that for every family that comes in, there may be other needs, right? Because we might be serving low-income families, so are there spaces for like other parts of Tzu Chi's like missions to be present, so they can do like some intaking or offer like free medical services if that's something of interest. Yeah, pass it over to Tiff.
Right, thank you very much. I think Steve did most of the talking. So, but one of the a few things about the presentation that I really think is really nice is the way that you said, oh, you haven't thought about this, but you will now think about it and give a feasible or a suitable recommendation. So I think that's really nice. One of the suggestions I do have is probably putting the slides about the statistics in the front. So setting the scene first before saying, oh, because we're solving this problem, this is what we want to do. So I do really like the slides about the statistics because it lays out the land for everyone to know why we're doing what we're doing, because ultimately we want to create impact, but if the needs are not there, why are we creating this impact? So I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys.
All right, thank you so much, Team 3. We're going to go ahead and introduce our next team, which will be Team 4.
Hello, we are the Furry Friends Foundation, and we're doing SDG number 15, Life on Land by Group 4.
So here is a quick look at the table of contents, as you can read for yourselves.
And here's a quick summary of our goals. Our goal is to help reduce stray dogs and cats, to help them find a place to call home. And this also helps the animals, but also helps us as humans because it prevents diseases such as rabies.
Our goals of the mission is to remove the stray animals from the streets and provide them with vet care, and which will exchange, we will put them into the pet shelters that we build, and we will provide a better environment for people that way. And as a side note, this organization is also nonprofit, just like how Tzu Chi handles paying some of its employees.
And here are some of the team members we'll need. We have logistics team, marketing, vet, trainers, shelter, and transportation. And most of these are volunteers who are passionate about animals, but some of them, like the team leads and the more professional vets, are paid.
So here's our time frame. We're going to be spending the first 2 months fundraising and collaborating with different pet shelters for our project. So we want to raise money and spread awareness about our mission. And then the second month, we're going to be recruiting and advertising our mission and recruiting like volunteers to help out. And then the third and fourth step, we're going to be like rescuing these stray animals and putting them into shelters. And once we get enough financial support, we want to eventually build our own shelters. And our goal for this project is rescuing 1,000 animals in our first year.
So our main purpose is to, number one, provide animal care like shelter, medical support, and foods, water, and to maintain shelter maintenance due to the understaff of animal shelters relative to the number of animals, and to perform animal rescue and animal behavior training because a lot of these animals might have been abused, suffer PTSD, and we want to make them suitable for adoption and be family friendly.
Since there are over 1 million stray animals in Houston, Texas, we plan on starting over there.
We offer many services, some of which are providing manpower to animal shelters, as many of them are understaffed, as well as having pet food banks where owners can donate unwanted food so we can use it for a good cause.
So what makes us different? Well, we have cheaper fees for the adoption of these stray animals, and we also overall provide more services. As well as we are a nonprofit organization, so all the money from fundraising, such as selling Jinsu bookstore items, will go back into the organization.
So the cost of materials annually is about $75,000. It could be lowered, like volunteers, like vets and trainers can also volunteer. The $25,000 is medical and maintenance, the supplies, the equipment, and the money to support the animal shelters in infrastructure and supplies.
Thank you for listening. Is there any questions?
Hi there, everyone. First of all, just want to say an amazing presentation. I've been in the job force for 2 years now. This is an incredibly well put together, well thought out presentation. The pacing was wonderful, got through it. In terms of another point I'd like to point out is I really enjoyed how you guys put a set us apart, the secret sauce, the differentiator section. That was a very important parts to add into what makes your service different. Something that I do when I write my own business proposals and when I see them come into my desk. One of the questions I did have is you mentioned something about where in the resources side, the human capital side, you mentioned how you have paid versus unpaid folks, or volunteers versus paid. I'm curious as to how the team decided what is paid, who is paid, and who is being a volunteer. Great job, folks.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. So for here, we have like kind of a chart. Our logistics team, which is like the people planning the thing, they're working most likely part-time or full-time, depending on their choice. But they will be paid because they're working really hard, and as a leader, it's more difficult, and they work for longer hours. And for the vets, we're planning to probably hire them, or we could talk to them about our cause and tell them that we are a nonprofit and try to convince them to join us maybe for free or for a lower pay.
Like you said, I'd like to commend you on a well thought out and put together presentation, but there was this one part that I was very curious about where you guys mentioned that you guys would be collecting unwanted food from owners, and I just wanted to ask if you guys considered why it's unwanted food, or if you guys were to look into the food to see whether it's actually good or not for the pets.
Okay, so you know how sometimes pets have a preference for what kind of food they like to eat? So if a lot of families, or they feed their pets and they start feeding them a type of food and they don't really enjoy it or they don't really like it. Or maybe someone, you know how people donate canned foods to like food banks? It's something similar to that if they want to donate pet food.
Yeah, I'd like to add on. I have a pet at home too, and we buy a lot of food for the pet, but then a lot of it doesn't get eaten because the pet doesn't like it. So we're just thinking about asking around if there's any food and like to donate, because it's a better purpose than to just throw away the food that the pet won't eat.
Thanks, guys. I'll have Tiffany give some comments first.
Yeah, great, thank you. I really like the presentation. The photos are very cute. The pets. One of the questions I have is like how long do you think it would take to set this up? Because it's a very big undertaking compared to a lot of the other projects. So do we have like a timeline or a time frame that you think will be used into setting this up?
So we want to spend the first 2 months to fundraise and collab to prepare for this project. So we want to find to raise money, to raise our funds to be able to pull this off, and also to partner with the animal shelters as well. That's the first 2 months. And then the next 2 months, so 4 months, we want to find volunteers, and then also start working with the shelters on how this is going to function.
Awesome. So on my side, really love the presentation. I think it's very cool to see that you're thinking about the differential between like paid and volunteers and incorporating both. I think that's something that makes the project more sustainable. In terms of your time frame, I love the idea of integrating in animals and volunteering and service into this ecosystem. I think it's something that can really draw a lot of young people's interests. What I would suggest is for the first 2 months, invest time in collaborating with other shelters in supporting their volunteering activities, right? So it could be like a TCYA delegation of like 20 TCYAs going to a specific animal shelter that we've identified, can train us and build us up, right? And as we do that work, kind of move towards these next timeline steps. It's hard to fundraise if people don't have that experience first, right? But from there, I think a question, and we don't have time to discuss it right now, but like the more long-term vision, I love that you have like an end goal of opening up a shelter, right? And so thinking about how do we incorporate TCYA's values of like nonviolence into an animal shelter, recognizing that sometimes shelters get overrun and there's too many animals and some have to be put down in order to keep capacity. Those are like really like huge ethical questions, right? But not for you to answer, but something for us to consider. But I'm really enjoying this question of also how do we ensure that the pipeline of animals who become strays is reduced, right? So one additional aspect you can consider in your project is how do we inspire our TCYAs and TCYNs to advocate for animal welfare and reduce the amount of animals that become strays from an advocacy, public campaign, and marketing side of things as well. But overall, really exciting project. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Team 4. And thank you again, audience members, for staying curious and asking questions for our presenters. One thing I'll ask the audience to do is when we are asking questions, we'll take all of the questions out first and then respond after that, so that way we can manage time and make sure everyone has enough time to respond to your questions. Now let's go ahead and welcome Team 5.
Good morning, everyone. So we're Group 5, and our topic for our theme is Cooking for Kids, and our slogan is Love Animal, Love Fruit, Grow Strong with Plants, and 素食可让身心健康又能保护地球.
Okay, to start off, what is KFK's mission? So our SDG we focus on is number 3, which is good health and well-being. So we would be teaching middle schoolers how to cook nutritious vegetarian meals to help improve their lifestyle. Their parents are also welcome to join them.
All right, so the overview for the KFK is that we're gonna need at least 8 volunteers with 4 volunteers per group of 5 kids. Some ways we're gonna advertise is gonna be on Facebook, and also posting flyers all over Tsuji schools. We're gonna be using the Tsuji schools cooking supplies, but the volunteers are gonna buy their own ingredients, and we're gonna have a variety of cuisines like Mexican, Asian, Italian, etc.
So our goal for KFK, so we want to build bonds between build familial bonds by hosting these on dates like Mother's Day, Father's Day. And then we also want to build connections between Tsuji and potential Tsuji attendees by teaching them our morals and values such as kindness and compassion. And then we want to educate people about the differences between a meat-based diet and a vegan-based diet, and then why vegan-based diets could be an advantage. And
the locations will be at Tsuji schools and other Tsuji locations, and will be held every last Saturday of the month for 2 hours.
Now, the expectations and requirements of volunteers is that the 3 expectations is that first of all, you have to have clean hands, and also you have to ask about the allergies of these kids, and also gathering all the materials. And the 3 other requirements is that, of course, you have to know how to cook, and a food handler certificate, and knowing how to handle knives and sharp objects.
So why is this event suitable? So as we said, we will be teaching kids some basic vegetarian meals and then promoting a healthier lifestyle. And in addition, we'll be teaching them the benefits of vegetarian meals, including reducing greenhouse gases and leading to a healthier planet.
So for some of the services offered, we have including teaching middle schools on how to cook vegetarian dishes, and this will be in monthly in-person classes. And by doing this, we're teaching kids basic nutrition and how to cook simple, delicious, nutritious meals that they can incorporate and cook every day in their lives.
So our estimated cost will be around $150 as grocery prices are around that price. And we're hoping that Tsuji can supply all the tables and the equipment.
And this is an example flyer that we could have to post on Facebook or at schools.
And that's all of our presentation. Feel free to bring up any questions and concerns. Thank you.
I would want to first say that your presentation is honestly really great. I like the idea. And just my question is, you guys say that you want to reduce greenhouse gases with teaching kids how to cook vegetarian meals. So how do you plan on doing that?
So I have a question regarding whether there will be a reimbursement for the tsusaos. Because if they're paying $150, will there be a reimbursement? Because if there's no reimbursement, it might turn them away from joining.
Okay, we have the 2 questions, please.
So in order to address the first question about how do we reduce greenhouse gases by not vegetarian meals, so since we know that eating red meat is bad for the earth, so we're kind of just focusing on that idea. So eating some veggies will be better than comparing eating red meats and others.
Yeah, to add on to that, red meat is, there's a lot of them from cows, and we all know cows produce a lot of methane, and so by consuming less cows, overall we don't have to raise as many, and then the methane in our atmosphere will decrease from it.
About the second question about the funding, the $150 is for Tsuji, us Tsusao are not paying it. We're using that money to buy groceries. The students are not paying $150, they're coming for free.
Yes, so there will be reimbursements to the Tsusao who take their time out of the day to go and buy the groceries and transport them.
Cool, awesome. It's really nice, especially this idea. It's easy and it's feasible to do, right? One of the questions I do have is about the middle schoolers that we're choosing. Is it already the ones in our center, the ones our family or friends, or is it we want to approach schools and talking about basic nutrition, because we know that a lot of the underprivileged community is the ones that are lacking in the nutrition side of things. So how do we want to promote this activity so that they are the people that are coming to us?
So at first, we're probably going to stay around like the area of Tsuji schools. And once we seek success and have feedback from like kids who have already attended, we plan to like expand out into more areas and find like new venues to go so we can teach more kids.
Awesome. So on my side, I love KFK. It sounds like KFC, but you know, it's cute. So I'm really enjoying how you're utilizing existing Tsuji school systems and the infrastructure that we already have. It's a very smart way to kind of like on-ramp your project without having to do a lot of like additional marketing. And thinking about like having, I also really appreciate how one of your project aims is to build this bridge between Tsuji and the families that are coming into these schools, right? And I'm really enjoying how like it's both teaching the parents and the children, because both, like, if the children learn it, they can be strong advocates, but then if the parents learn it, then they can integrate it into their daily cooking routines. So I'm really enjoying all of this. One thing that I could maybe make as a note in terms of thinking about how we can bring in more excitement into this, excuse me, into this program is thinking about inviting local restaurants and chefs that are in the plant-based space to come in and support this work, right? Because recognizing that we have a lot of these like supporters that already exist within like Tsuji events, right? Like we have restaurants that come and provide free plant-based cooking for some of our events. Those very same chefs, I believe, would be very willing to support this sort of community outreach to build that larger culture around plant-based foods. So congratulations for your presentation, and I look forward to seeing it.
All right, thank you so much. We'll now go ahead and get ready to welcome our next team, which will be Team 6.
Hi, we are Placeholder 6, and our project is called Imbalance Initiative. Our SDG is promoting good health and well-being.
Before we talk about the event, we have to talk about the problem first, which is malnutrition. There are two main types of malnutrition, which is overnutrition and undernutrition. And it's a very big problem that 1 in 3 people are affected. And it affects every part of your body, including mental health. And it's more common in children, as about 50% of the deaths of children is caused by malnutrition. And just in the US, 45% of all the deaths are either caused by malnutrition or diseases caused by malnutrition.
Our website will use AI to provide users with their own dietary preferences, such as taste and good allergy. This website will also tell you how to use vegetarian food to get the nutrition of meat.
So adding on, our website basically has an AI feature tool where you can input what ingredients of food you have and your taste preferences and maybe some dietary restrictions, and the AI tool will generate a list of food recipes for you to create. So for our workshops pop-up, we're gonna be having workshops that will be featured at the food distributions. So we're gonna explain to people at the food distribution if they have like access to internet on our website, they'll be directed to like see how to use the website and how to use the AI feature to their advantage. And we will also maybe host workshops where dietitians may be invited to speak at the events to emphasize the importance of nutrition and eating in a balanced meal. And we also may have workshops that include like cooking classes and just how to like navigate our website.
All right, before we move on to this slide, you may be thinking, why are we doing this rather than just a traditional convention or something along the lines of that? Well, usually during a convention, they're just handing out pamphlets in an environment that's not usually made for reading, unlike a library. And on the other hand, they may have activities, so for example, ball toss, right? What was the point of that, you know?
Oh, it's for healthy eating.
See, I don't see the correlation whatsoever. Now, to put in clear lines, to put in, to put in clear lines, the consumption of unhealthy foods can lead to more health problems, like he said earlier. And what's good about this is that it can connect our communities through different cultures, and it can also promote a vegetarian diet.
Our first event is an add-on service to the already existing food distributions that are available as a service. So during this event, people will come as an incentive to get food, but then at this food distribution, they can test out our AI and generate recipes on the spot for them to enjoy.
So for room for improvement, so feedback are extremely important to us, as we need people's feedback on their ideas on like what food they generated to see if the recipe is actually effective. So we will be creating a feedback form for participants to give their feedback on our product, such as like our workshop, pop-up, and our an AI generative tool. And to give back to the community and also receive feedback, we will be having a $50 gift card raffle. So for each response or feedback, our participants will be entered into a raffle for a $50 gift card for a grocery store of their choosing.
So our time frame is to first create the website, which will, with multiple technicians and everyone working together, we expect it to take around 3 weeks. And then for the AI, we expect to develop it longer, which could go towards a year, but we hope to make that shorter. And testing it on a local TCYA level, we would expect to take 3 months, because that's when we could see like the blood level results and if they decrease their like sugar levels. And we would measure this using quantitative and qualitative metrics. And then fourth, we want to expand it to more people, and through the ABC, you can see how we hope to do that.
So for our delegation, there's going to be communications, media, technicians, marketing, team leads, and treasury. And then for materials and costs, at our food distribution, we'll need banners, tables, posters, and food serving fees, which we estimate around $2,000. And then, like they said before, the $50 raffle reward during the testing phase. And then when we broaden out to the rest of the community, we expect more like tables and poster changes around $500.
Okay, so for the conclusion, culinary diversity worldwide isn't just about flavor variations. It's also about enriching cultural heritage and strengthening human connections. Food isn't just about nutrition. Food is a reflection of a society's history, traditions, and values. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So I think a really good presentation, and I think leading back to Steve's point of building upon the things that CG is already doing and like kind of ramping up with these activities is a very good idea to begin with and test out the waters. I do have a few suggestions regarding say the website. How do we entice people to use the website, right? How do we create this online community that people are actually interacting with each other, not just through AI? I think there's something that we can think about as well. The other is, you know, how do we get people to want to use the website, and who are the people that are using the website? So for example, is it more tailored towards the youth, or is it just general community people? Or say, for example, are we working towards the vulnerable communities that we're serving?
Love it, thank you. And I know we're short on time, so maybe less questions, more statements and reflections for you guys. Love the integration of AI. I think exposing lower income and vulnerable community to new technology is a beautiful thing, right? In thinking about artificial intelligence, there needs to also be that linkage so that you have dietitians and nutritionists present with the community as they're using this technology, so that the AI doesn't suggest them things that doesn't actually benefit their nutritional well-being, right? So there needs to be a human monitoring element in that. In the budgets and costs, AI requires a significant amount of money, especially if you're looking to develop code and create and then maintain the AI itself. That's quite a chunk of money, right? And so budgeting that into materials and costs could be one way. Alternatively, partnering with other AI startups that are doing this sort of work, so we don't have to be the ones putting forth the money to develop code and create, but rather we utilize our platforms and spaces as a way to bring them in to connect with our communities could be a powerful first step, right? And thinking about if you do want to develop in code, recognizing you guys have that passion, do that. But at the same time, thinking about as this is being coded, are there elements of this project that can still be implemented before the AI is ready, right? Can you simply open up that table next to the food distribution space and invite a dietitian and nutritionist in to share some of the recipes that can be made based off the food that is being distributed today without utilizing like an AI fully fledged? Could be a way forward to help the community right now. But outside of that, congratulations on the presentation and thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Team 6. And a little tip for the presenters, we are limiting you guys to a certain amount of time, so please make sure you're looking out for those signs. And even if you run out of time and you don't get to all of the slides, that Q&A portion and your interaction with the judges can be an opportunity for you to cover any materials you didn't finish within those 3 minutes. Let's now please welcome Team 7.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we'll be presenting the Environmental Expo. The Environmental Action Expo is, we came up with it to bring together individuals of different backgrounds to understand the fundamentals of climate change and how to effectively combat these issues.
All right, I would like everyone to close your eyes. Okay, so imagine this. You're in a house at a cross-section. To the right of you is a tornado. To the left of you is a wildfire. In front of you, you're getting flooded, and behind you, there's a hurricane. All right, can everybody open their eyes? Rapid changing societies have resulted in increased trends in ozone depletion and increase in CO2 in our atmosphere and ocean. Climate change, a process defined as a long-term in temperature and weather patterns, are a result of deforestation, reliance on transportation, and acts of burning fossil fuel. Increase in human activities ultimately lead to mass global warming, extreme differences in temperature, and sea level rising, increase of risk of natural disasters, and many more.
Outlined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, individuals are born to various fundamental rights. Climate change, however, has become a leading factor in the violation of individuals' right to adequate resource, protection, and freedom of residence, as stated under Articles 13 and 25 of the UDHR. Our mission is to address these issues through free walk-in panels, booths, and hands-on activities, providing communities with adequate living space and resource.
The Environmental Action Expo is split into 3 key booth sections: panels, hands-on events, and a vegetarian booth. Our panels will consist of 3 key guest speakers who will present on various topics of climate change, such as how to reduce carbon footprints, environmentally friendly transportation, and actions individuals can take to stop climate change. Hands-on events will consist of planting, DIY arts and crafts through plastic waste and donated clothing, and kids' carnival games. The vegetarian booth promotes vegetarianism and gives insight into how vegetarianism will effectively decrease the effects of climate change. Free vegetarian lunch will be provided.
In hopes of inspiring and initiating change within communities, our events target the general public and community members. The Action Expo occurs once every 6 months from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Los Angeles Convention Center. The coordinator will be reaching out to the guest speaker, and the marketing team will be in charge of passing out flyers from 1 month and RSVP form.
For sustainability, we try to educate the general public. Service events promote decrease in greenhouse emissions, and we try to create a more sustainable environment. It also promotes action to strive for change. For event impact, we try to create a well-educated community, better insight into the problem of climate change, and instigates movement for change.
Okay, so we planned on renting out the South Hall of the Los Angeles Convention Center for around $40,000. And then we plan on allocating $10,000 towards booth setups and the items required to provide for the activities we would like to do. And we also plan on giving $500 to every guest speaker who decides to attend, and allocating $15,000 to food.
So in our convention, we obviously need people to work there. We will have 15 security officers that are paid $45 an hour, and also chefs, a social media team coordinators, audiovisual people to manage the tech stuff, and also volunteers. And our total estimated cost is $80,700.
Great, thank you so much, guys. For the budget of $80,000, just really quickly before we move on to comments, what's the estimated reach? Like, how many people are we reaching with this expo?
Can you repeat that again?
Like, how many people in terms of like attendees and audience members are you looking to reach for the cost of this?
So we are planning for this event to be really big, so we are expecting at least 600 people to attend this convention. Yeah, and hopefully we will make enough funds to like break even and then also make a profit.
Bet. No, this is really cool, and thank you guys for putting this all together. Honestly, the event expenses are pretty feasible, you know, in terms of, I love these numbers. I would say if you're looking to spend this amount of money, you probably want to hit about like 10,000 to like 20,000 people to make your money back, right? And that's with charging people funds. I'm really enjoying the Environmental Action Expo idea. One way that like, because I think this is like moonshot, this is like the future of how you build, right? How do you make this possible right now? You can model this like this year, right, by hosting an Environmental Action Expo within the Tzu ecosystem, right? And I think this vision is something that you can consistently build out. If you were to do this at this scale, you wouldn't want 3 guest speakers, you probably want like 50 guest speakers, right? Because each guest speaker is gonna bring in their own population of like attendees, fans, people that want to come listen to them talk, right? And this is over the course of like 2 days, 3 days, right? At the same time, though, like thinking about scaling this to a size where as CISALs we can truly implement this, utilizing San Dimas campus, we can host a 600-person expo, right? We can host maybe more like 400-person capped out, but like this is definitely something that's doable. If you want 3 high-level guest speakers coming in to talk about environmental action, right, from the local community, and then like engaging with local government, I think this is all doable. You'd like divide these numbers maybe by like 100, but like we'd definitely be able to run that, right? Like give me like $8,000 of a budget, and this definitely could work.
Great. To add upon that, I think partnerships is very important in creating an event like this. Not just because we need the money to come in, but also to touch different populations, right? So every partnership that we build, we're actually bringing in their people, their community, and they get to know Tzu through this interaction. So I think partnerships is something that we can consider with, say, the environmental sector. A lot of NGOs are working in this sector, but also with businesses as well. a lot of businesses, if we're talking about like vegetarianism, they want to come in, they have the plant-based products that they want to bring in. So I think that's one thing. The other thing is like aligning with the things that are happening. For example, New York has a climate week. So do we want to utilize this time when everyone is talking about climate to have this activity so it's something that is relevant to the time frame that we have as well?
Overall, though, love the plan, love the vision, and thank you for lifting up UDHR as well. Like, big fan. Thank you guys for the presentation.
All right, great job, Team 7. Thank you so much. Presenters, as a reminder again, once your time is up, please make sure you make your way to the final slide. If there's any materials you didn't get to cover during your 3 minutes, feel free to share them out during the Q&A section. We're now going to go ahead and welcome Team 8.
Hey everybody, we are Team 8, which stands for Association of Teaching Environmentalism. Now, before you can say that you ate, what do you have to do? You have to eat. So, our class is a gardening class where people can be able to grow their own food.
So the SDG that we are trying to target is number 11, which is sustainable cities and communities.
So our mission and why this event is suitable. So our mission is to improve the quality of life in urban settings by teaching sustainable gardening. So we plan to better the air quality through oxygenation, improve access to healthy foods, and educate the general public pertaining to sustainability and environmentalism.
Our main goals are to teach and spread awareness of environmental impact and sustainability, and to provide our participants with methods to use lesser resources to care for their plants, herbs, vegetables, or fruits, and to educate participants about taking care of plants and how to preserve the environment around them.
So our event scope, so we're going to be targeting the residents of urban cities, particularly LA, and it's a pretty broad audience since people of all different ages and backgrounds can enjoy gardening. So we're gonna launch in LA and we plan to spread out to more crowded cities across the US and maybe even on an international level.
So the services that we will be offering, our event is based on these classes that will teach people how to garden, compost, and other sustainable practices. And what really sets us apart is that not only do we have classes, but after the classes, attendees will be able to take a plant home to begin a garden at their home. And we will also be promoting sustainable practices such as reusing boxes as pots, or reusing like water that we use to wash vegetables for irrigation, as well as composting.
Okay, and as for what plants we are going to be growing, we're going to have 3 growing seasons and different plants for each season. So in the spring and in the summer, we will have heirloom tomatoes and cucumbers, and those are great because they're very easy to grow. They're space saving because they can grow in trellises, so they can grow up, and they're popular. So, and then in the fall, we'll have garlic because it's very renewable since you can replant the garlic to grow more cloves.
This event will take place bi-weekly on Saturdays through 90-minute courses from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Okay, our location is at Milagro Allegro Community Garden in downtown Los Angeles, so the learners can enjoy the environment as they work.
So we anticipate that prior to the first event of each season, it will take about 3 months to plan.
So these are materials and delegation. Our total is around $268, and we hope that you'll be able to support us in our solving the lack of sustainability in urban cities and encouraging the public to live a better quality of life with gardening and healthy eating. Thank you.
Thank you for putting this up. If you can stay on this materials and delegation list just so I can look at it for a second. This is so cool. I'm really happy to see like a gardening project. I think this is something that has really blossomed in the COVID pandemic moment. So like in a post-COVID moment. So like you've really hit like something interesting. I would love to also lift up, Tsuji itself runs a community garden here, and because of that, I think having this like sister engagement with another partner garden could be something really powerful, right? Adding on top of that, thinking about like giving like plants and like crops to propagate and share with attendees can be a way that we can also utilize our garden here as a growing space to then give to those who we meet in like a downtown LA area. So it's really interesting. I'm also really enjoying how there's an integration of classes into this ecosystem as well, recognizing that like just getting a plant itself doesn't mean you can actually grow it, right? And so my question for you guys would be centered around like the community and the population you're really looking to reach, right? Like you said earlier, like you're targeting LA, but LA is such a sprawl, right? Like is there a particular community that you're looking for this project to serve?
Yeah, so there are some people who might be in a financial, like maybe a worse financial situation, and obviously you can't get like a whole bunch of carrots by doing this, but this could help people out, and it's a really broad audience we're catering to, but also, yeah, and also just people who are aiming to better their communities, or maybe people who just like the aesthetic pleasure of plants, you know? So really broad audience we have here.
Just like people who are willing to make a change or something.
Yeah,
and, like,
adding on to
hopefully
that,
we can
like, thank you for your
inspire.
question, by the way. Adding on to that, since we're encouraging them to bring their own like cardboard boxes or reusable containers to grow the plants in, if they don't have too much space in their homes as well, they'll be able to still grow a plant without taking too much space. And we're also choosing plants that don't take up as much space as well.
Great, awesome. I don't really have any questions, but I think it would actually work very nicely with some of the projects that we discussed beforehand about like education, right? So they're growing these plants. After growing these plants, what do they do with it? Like, how do they cook it? How do they, you know, like maybe they're able to pass that knowledge onto their communities as well. So I think it would be a really nice interaction with some of the other projects that we have going on. Thank you.
And maybe in closing, recognizing we don't have time for more questions, but there's always lovely things to say. I would lift up school children trips to gardens could be a possible education opportunity as well. So collaborating with schools could be another outlet to look into. Additionally, thinking about like if you can take this model and like jump between different community gardens. So instead of like it being at one community garden, maybe you like hop between different gardens that you're partnering with. It could be a way to reach more communities that are like hitting those vulnerable spaces. And then I think finally from my side, taking these opportunities and integrating them in with some of the other youth projects that have been emerging, I think could be a very powerful like double impact moment for you guys. So congratulations on the project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Team 8. We are getting very, very close to the end of our hackathon presentations. We'll go straight to Team 9. Please welcome Team 9 to the stage.
Okay, hi everyone. Okay, raise your hands if you go to school. Okay, raise your hand if you had missing supplies in these schools. Raise your hands if you had to share a single glue stick with 30 other people. Okay, there we go. Raise your hand if you wanted to go on more field trips. Okay. Well, our event can solve these problems. Right? Okay. We are Team CC, and our event is Festivals for Future.
So the SDG that we're going to be focusing on is quality education. So what exactly is Festivals for Future? Basically, Festivals for Future is our proposed service event, and we're dedicated to hosting festivals to raise funding for underfunded schools. So what exactly are we going to do with this money? We're going to connect with schools, and we're going to find out what they need. And some of these examples include funding for field trips and school dances, or school supplies and feminine hygiene products. And by doing so, we hope to connect the community.
So festivals are held every last Saturday of every month, and we're planning on hosting it for about 5 hours from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. Attendees are free to just roam around and come and go as they please, as it is a festival. But we're expecting around, or we're hoping to have around or above 200 attendees, depending on who's interested and how many people can come, because a lot of people have busy schedules. We're also planning to have 15 to 20 vendors, also according to how many small businesses and local communities that want to collaborate with us and be there to support local schools. In the future, when we hopefully grow, we're hoping to sponsor some local artists or bands just to make the environment more lively, and also provide a way for them to kind of show off their skill. And lastly, we hope to have 30 or so TCYA members to help volunteer, and that includes the media and communications teams.
All right, so why are we choosing to fund schools? First of all, we want to ensure that schools, regardless of the area that they're situated, have access to these necessary materials in order to facilitate productive learning. And by taking this initiative, we also hope to relieve some financial pressure from teachers who have been supplying these things off of their own paycheck. And from this conference, I'm sure we all kind of realize that we prefer to engage in more hands-on lessons. So being able to supply these materials will ensure that that classrooms have these classrooms will have an increase in student engagement and create a better learning experience.
All right, so statistics. About 83% of public schools suffer from low supplies, and about 93% of teachers have to use their own money to supply their classrooms.
We anticipate that this event will take around a month to plan, and prices will change depending on the location and how many people we will have attending these events.
Task for the event. Number one, event manager manage the event, make sure everyone is doing the job, make sure tasks are done on time. Communication, reaching out to business and performers, necessary with them, keep record of all the performers and figuring out meeting the needs, meet the team, creating advertisement for the event, documenting the event, school team, reaching out to school who need the money and advertisement the events specifically to schools.
All right, 100% of our profits will go towards the school fundings, and vendors will have to pay a fee to set up their stall in our venue, and 10% of all their sales will go towards school funding as well. Festival costs include flyers. They are used to advertise, and additional materials maybe.
Thank you for listening to our presentation.
Thanks so much. So just recognizing we're short on time and we had to cut you guys off. Thank you so much for putting this together. I'll pass it to Tiff first to start us off.
Great, thank you very much. I really like the way that we're working with the schools to see what their individual needs are. I think that's very important, especially in education. There's so much different needs for different schools. One of the things that I think we can think about is also like running a lot of festivals. It also has a lot of waste, right? So how do we make sure that when we are running these festivals, we are cutting down on the waste, making like zero waste solutions? And also one of the other things about festivals is how do we recognize, how do the community that come through recognize the importance of this festival? So do we want to add elements of storytelling, impact telling, you know, letting them know that they're spending, but when they are doing these consumptions, or like when they're spending, that they are doing something towards a greater good.
I love this. I think thinking about branding this Festivals for Future, I think this brand of it, how we can link that to the education piece more, will strengthen the pitch for how you draw people in. Similar to Tiffany, thinking about how we also then storytell to the community, a lot of that's in the marketing side, right? But I think you guys got that on lock. And I really just want to applaud like the thinking of like bringing community together for a good cause, right? And I think it's a really exciting thing to consider. And so definitely think of Tsuji as one of your first venues, right? Come to San Dimas or your local chapter and pitch it to them as this space, whether it's a parking lot or like the Tsuji headquarters itself, can be that space to kind of pilot this and kickstart that momentum that you can then take that festival wherever you go. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you so much, Team 9. Thank you for being respectful of the time. We'll now welcome our last team, Team 10.
Okay, so our project hackathon was, we named it CSCC. It stands for Compost Sustainability Cooking Classes. And our motto is grow green and eat clean. This is 10 Titans, by the way, Team 10. So we decided to find a Jinxie aphorism that would relate to our hackathon theme, and I found take from the earth only what you need and leave behind a gentle footprint. Our goals.
So for our goals, we'll be promoting the SDG of zero hunger, and we'll try to accomplish this by creating classes and that are free. However we do, we encourage donations, and our goal is around $3,000. And during those classes, we'll promote cooking using a garden from the Tsuji Gardens in the headquarters here. And additionally, we'll also be teaching sustainability.
CSCC, we have two parts. So the first part is the class, and then the second part is the planting. So our order that we plan on doing it is we will repurpose food scraps from the Tsuji kitchens, and then we're gonna use the headquarters here and hopefully be able to use their garden to grow the crops out. And then we're gonna take the crops into the headquarters kitchen, and then hopefully we can use it to start cooking classes.
So the services we will be offering, the main one is education, where we're teaching them cooking skills, specifically with vegetarian dishes. We'll also be covering teaching sustainability, where they obviously from farm to table cooking, as well as non-wasteful practices. We'll be using the food scraps for compost and being environmentally friendly.
So why is this event suitable? So across the US, 44 million people suffer from hunger, with around 49 million people turning to these hunger relief programs. So programs like the CSCC can help increase access to these relief programs as our money goes to these food banks, and also help teach people about sustainability, which is why our reach looks at people specifically in the headquarters area, because that's where our event is hosted, as well as people like TCYA members and TCYA members and people interested in farm-to-table cooking.
So for our time frame for the garden, 7 months before the event, we're going to contact restaurants and food shelters to get the food scraps. Then 3 to 4 months for composting. Then we'll begin growing vegetables, and over time we'll maintain it every couple days. And then for the classes, we'll have one class every Saturday for 5 weeks, 2 times a year. And they're 2 hours long.
Now let's move on to the material and cost. So one of the most important logistics is the materials and what we're going to grow. So we had an interview with one of the members of our culinary team, Wenli Shuku, and the first question we asked was what ingredients we should grow. We responded with questions such as herbs, zucchinis, tomatoes, and it was very crucial that we found versatile and easy to grow ingredients within a short time frame, especially since we wanted to incorporate all of these things into the program as soon as possible. So based on that, we came up with some dishes we could make during the program. These are 3 of the many dishes we're going to try to have our students cook. And when we asked them what dishes we can make, she responded by saying, a good idea is a breakfast idea, because you can decide what to make, as it is very creative, such as bread pizza. So we decided on many things such as squash pasta and seasoned bread and vegan rice bowl. Last but not least, we also asked, is our idea effective? Because of course, we want to make sure it works, right? She said that, oh, the city has an eco garden, we can totally use that. So it is, of course, it's a great idea. So not only do we have these resources, we have them right at our disposal at the San Dimas headquarters, making it a very great idea. Yeah, and now, anyways, yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, rapid fire from our side. Love the user questions, right? Like knowing who you're looking to serve, getting their input. Love how you pitch, starting with the Jinx aphorism, knowing your audience and kind of like shaping why we should care from that first quote. And I think this is really a well thought out integration into the work that Siji is already doing, and it can be really feasible.
I have a feedback regarding like running out of time. So if we are running out of time, so when you see like there's a 1 minute mark or 2 minute mark, I think this applies to a few of the teams as well. It's like, oh, what is the most important thing? So maybe thinking about that before you get on the stage. Okay, if we're running out of time, what is the last thing you want to tell people? Because that's what usually catches people. Like, what is the last key message that you want to portray? Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you guys.
All right, thank you, Team 10. Good job. Thank you for being our last presenters. Our judges will be finalizing their decisions for the awards and the closing ceremony. I'm going to pass it off to our lead attendee for our next activity.
Great job, guys.